My name is Beatrice, and by the end of this presentation, you will be an expert on bacteria and viruses. Have you ever given your friend a high five or a handshake? Well, if you have, you would have transmitted more than 1 million bacteria and viruses. In fact, there are more than 400 trillion bacteria and viruses living on and inside of you right now. Today, I'm going to be talking about bacteria and viruses. You might be thinking, how do bacteria and viruses compare? Bacteria and viruses are germs that can be harmful and helpful. Viruses are a powerful germ because they can hijack any cell they want and take over the body. Viruses are infectious particles that cannot reproduce without a host cell. Therefore, viruses are not living microorganisms. Viruses cannot have cells because they are too small. Now let's take a look at bacteria. Unlike viruses, bacteria are single-celled microorganisms. Bacteria were actually the first microorganisms to live on Earth about 4 billion years ago. Bacteria are alive and active. Bacteria can duplicate on their own without a host cell. Bacteria can be found in every environment there is. This is due to their rough and unusual structure. Additionally, there are so many bacteria that 1 gram of soil contains 40 million bacteria cells. 1 millimeter of water contains 1 million bacteria cells. There is estimated of 5 non-million bacteria in the entire world. I don't know about you, but before I didn't even know that there was a number that large. Can bacteria and viruses be good? Well, that's a great question. If you are like most people, you might think of bacteria as gross or bad, but the truth is that without bacteria and viruses, we might not be alive. Let's start out with the good that bacteria do. Bacteria are the first line of defense against deadly pathogens. When the immune system is overwhelmed, bacteria can keep it just right. The immune system cannot be too sensitive or sluggish. It needs to be able to respond quickly. If bacteria were not here and the immune system started to get overwhelmed, this could result in an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune diseases have killed a lot of people. We start with bacteria when we are born and we get exposed to more as we go along the way. Some of these bacteria go on to live in our immune system. These bacteria help us grow a strong immune system. Everybody has a personalized section of bacteria in their body called the microbiome. All of these bacteria are good. These bacteria help break down things like sugars, toxins, carbohydrates, and help absorb fatty acids. These are some of the things that the body cannot do by itself. Good bacteria can also be found in food. Good bacteria is found in foods like pickles, bread, fresh bread, yogurt, and some cheeses. Now let's take a look at viruses. Are they good or bad? About 380 trillion viruses are living on and inside of you right now. Some of them are bad, but some of them coexist with you. Some viruses can actually kill deadly bacteria. These viruses destroy bacteria and keep the population of bacteria under control. This is absolutely necessary, as there are more bacteria in the world than stars in the universe. These viruses can also be an alternative for antibiotics. Bacterial, fruit, and plant pathogens can be taken out by these viruses instead of using toxic pest control. This is better for the environment. Bacteria and viruses have also been awful for the world too. They've killed so many people. I'm sure you've heard of the plague. The plague is a bacteria responsible for a ton of deaths. The plague started in 1342. The prime of this disease was 1342 to 1352. The plague is a contagious disease spread by the bacteria Yersinia pestis. This disease was spread by animals, fleas in particular. Rats were the carriers of this disease. And if you got the plague, you would not be very lucky. In fact, 99% to 100% of people who contract this disease die. There are two versions of the plague, the pneumonic version and the septicemic version. The pneumonic version gives you a very strong cough. The septicemic version has more of a fever. It can give you achy bones and it can even make you bleed to death. It turns out that the cure was actually very easy. It was just antibiotics that did the thing. But in the USA, people could still get the plague, but it is very, very, very seldom. Viruses have been the cause of an awful disease too. Smallpox is an acute contagious disease caused by the variola virus. Smallpox was alive for at least 3,000 years and it killed more than 300 million people. It got eradicated soon though. Smallpox can cause scars and disfigurement. Now you might be thinking, how do we protect ourselves from these awful viruses and diseases? Well, for bacteria we have something called an antibiotic. It can take several years to make antibiotics. Antibiotics stop bacterial growth. It can take about 10 to 20 years to make an antibiotic. Antibiotics are made out of fungus. Fungus can eat bacteria and stop bacterial growth. A healthy immune system can fight off a lot of viruses and infections while protecting tissue. The immune system can respond very fast. Almost everything can trigger an immune reaction. Things like pathogens, substances, and chemicals. If the immune system comes in contact with a pathogen, it will store information on it, and next time it will know how to fight it off. If a pathogen comes into your body and B cells recognize it, it will produce antibodies. When the antibodies attack the pathogen, it calls for help, and other parts of the immune system will help destroy the invader. This is how we develop immunity. We can also take vaccines to protect ourselves. Vaccines are made out of small fragments of the virus. This does not make the human sick, but it helps the human develop immunity. All in all, this is how bacteria and viruses compare. They are very different, but they are also very similar. Bacteria and viruses are so small, but they certainly do have far-reaching benefits and consequences to the world around us. Next time you think about bacteria and viruses, know that they are different and they are helpful. Thank you.